Virtually everything that comes out of Hollywood is about destroying values and weakening our society.
This whole idea of being toxically masculine is absolutely garbage. Nobody's toxically... Listen, you're not gonna call me toxically masculine if someone breaks in the house and I start spraying.
Three things alpha males never say to women.
Stop looking at women. Like, do not even look. And you have to understand, I know this sounds very silly, that's what women want you to do. They receive a ton of joy and pleasure and validation through knowing they're getting attention, your attention, men's attention.
Toxic masculinity does not exist. It simply is a shaming tactic used by women on men when things don't go their way, they can't get what they want, and they are not able to control the man.
The recent appearance of Harry Styles on the cover of Vogue sparked controversy over what it means to be a man. In December 2019, Styles became the first man to appear solo on the cover of the magazine, and he did so while wearing a dress. There were a variety of reactions to his bold outfit choice. Specifically, Candace Owens' tweet caused a movement that became known as Bring Back Manly Men. Several people took a stand in support of Styles, including actors Elijah Wood and Zach Braff. Wood responded to Owens saying, "I think you've missed the definition of what a man is. Masculinity alone does not make a man." Braff's tweet was more general, stating, "Our whole lives, boys and men are told we need to be manly. Life is short, be whatever the you want," accompanied with a picture of Styles. We asked students and teachers from a local high school several questions on the topic of toxic masculinity.
Unrealistic expectations, harsh words. There's a lot of it, it's hard to properly describe, but I feel like toxic masculinity is where you try to be like so macho that you end up being just
over-exaggeration.
I think toxic masculinity is like the embodiment of all the societal ideas we have about men and used in negative ways.
That's like when dudes peer pressure you to be a dude.
I think over-exaggeration.
It's when a male is overly rude or not caring of others' feelings, either towards a girl or just in general to other guys.
Okay, when a guy with the big muscles uses his muscles to belittle a guy with small muscles.
So toxic masculinity means to me that boys or men aren't supposed to show any sort of emotion like sadness or depression or fear. I also believe that toxic masculinity includes disrespect of females, possibly people who don't identify as straight and cis, and I think that there's a lot of, when it comes to toxic masculinity, there's this ideal of manliness as maybe a protector that's gotten way out of hand, and it doesn't allow for boys and men to kind of even show their true selves sometimes.
I think the first thing that comes to mind probably is kind of an alpha male type situation. Very maybe worried about external appearance and being the first one noticed, that sort of thing when you're coming in the room. And oftentimes in especially a school setting or in athletic settings, you can see that pretty often.
Like caring, emotional, like with a willingness to learn and to help.
Just willing to speak their truth and being very vocal.
Caring, but also being able to take care of others.
Respectable, admirable, strong, willing people. Strong in the inside, not necessarily on the outside.
Big muscles.
To me, a masculine man is someone who's comfortable in their own skin and isn't afraid to say how they feel and maybe kind of step out of that box of like what a typical man is in society.
So the Joe Wicks opinion of somebody who's masculine is someone who is very empathetic to other people, who is respectful to women and people who maybe don't identify as male, people who maybe still serve as that, you know, kind of caretaker or somebody who looks out for other people, who is allows themselves to be in touch with their mental health, with their emotional health, regardless of you know, how strong they are. That's kind of my opinion.
Strength, height, size of body, facial features, basically all physical traits.
Probably like a lack of emotion, just like brute strength, and kind of an unwillingness to learn.
Buff, good facial features, overpowering, like leaders.
Strong, fit, loud, and leaders.
Definitely like strong, I'd say, like physically, and also kind of like balling up their emotions, I feel like.
Unfortunately, with the society that we live in right now, it's kind of changed. So more strong physically on the outside rather than the inside.
Like being strong and stuff.
Big muscles.
I would definitely say like have a deep voice, like big muscles, play sports, kind of like dress in like a way that's just kind of the same, I guess, like what like a male history teacher would wear, you know, like kind of like just like jeans or not jeans, but like khakis and button-up shirts and stuff like that.
I think that goes back to the question of toxic masculinity, just not showing emotion and being tough, being strong in all situations, and I think that really breeds a lot of mental health issues that we're seeing today in young men and boys.
Physical appearance, the way that alpha male type mentality comes to the forefront.
I'm really not sure. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that just affects men. I think it affects everybody.
No. A little bit.
Yeah, probably. Just among friends.
Yeah.
Just like guy friends, really, but not really like against strangers or anything like that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting journey for me because I've kind of walked this interesting line of being, you know, growing up as somewhat, I guess people would describe as like a tomboy. So I was able to play sports and do things like that, but it didn't mean that I didn't deal with the issues, or especially dealt with the issues of boys and young men who thought that I wasn't allowed to be on the same basketball court as they were. I wasn't strong enough. I had people pick fights with me because if I, you know, scored on them or things of that nature. I also kind of grew up in a household where I never saw my father cry. I think I saw him cry maybe twice, and it was for very extreme circumstances. You know, and I think this idea of like man as protector was kind of drilled into my head just a little bit. I've been extraordinarily disrespected by plenty of men and males, and it's even fascinating in the classroom setting as a grown woman to have, throughout my 16 plus years in education, to have to deal with even young men students who feel like because I'm female, they can treat me in a different way. So I could go on, but those are some examples.
Sure. I mean, I think anybody that's been in a school setting that's involved in any type of athletics, really just daily life, period, you're going to see that in some capacity, whether it's in the gym or on the field or in the classroom or locker room or even in the workplace, to where, I mean, there's some pretty compelling studies out there that just based on toxic masculinity in the workplace. There could be different ladders that you can climb, maybe more quickly than others, just because of having some of those traits.
Ultimately, toxic masculinity can pressure men into suppressing their emotions and sometimes conveying a false image of strength. This false ideal can also outwardly represent itself, as shown in this Axe body spray advertisement. These harmful expectations can lead to body dysmorphia, lack of confidence, anxiety disorders, and severe depression in men. In the past few years, men's suicide rates have quadrupled that of women. In the past, Gillette released ads that portrayed ideals of sexism as well as toxic masculinity. To combat those degrading messages, Gillette came out with a new ad to challenge the current outlook on masculinity.
Masculinity. Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy? What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
Pixar also questions society's acceptance of toxic masculinity in their short film entitled Pearl. The film follows a pink ball of yarn, representing a woman, standing out amongst male coworkers as she enters a new workplace and the struggle she faces enduring disrespect and feeling as if she needs to change to be accepted. This film displays one effect of toxic masculinity on women. Women are frequently harassed and degraded because toxic masculinity makes men feel like they have to act superior in order to be a man. Men need to be held accountable for the negative effects their actions have on each other and society as a whole. Instead of focusing on fitting into society's description of a masculine man, men should focus on being true to themselves and just being a good person.